Hey, welcome back to the Road to Retirement. My name is Chris Anselmo with Brookside Tax and Financial Group, and along with us are T Squared, Tony Marlette Jr. and Tony Shore.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Chris Anselmo.
Good morning,
and Tony Marlette.
Good morning,
Jr.
Cleveland. Right? I guess the United States, because they could see this all over the place, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, all over the world. Yeah.
Oh, well. So, what's new in your life, Tony?
Sure. Let's Marlette. Oh, me.
No,
okay.
he knows what's...
Okay.
He's on me too much.
Another trick question. I'm doing great. I've had a crazy week. Just really busy with family stuff and work. But I tell you what, I love this time of year. I love the weather.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's just great.
I was just talking about it because I cut the grass last night. I'm like, God, I really like this weather, but unfortunately, you know what's coming. It would be nice.
That's the problem.
It'd be nice if we just went from spring to summer to fall to spring to summer to fall to spring. And that's kind of where my in-laws live, up on the northern panhandle of Florida. That's their weather: spring, summer, fall, spring, summer, fall.
I could actually handle spring, fall, spring, fall, spring, fall.
I'm with you.
I like our summers are good though. I mean, it doesn't really get too hot, and
that's true.
Humid.
Our summers are good too, but they're short. I mean,
well, yours are shorter than ours even.
Your
leaves are probably turning already.
Not yet this year. It's been unseasonably warm. Typically, they do start turning end of September. But not quite yet. We're not quite there. We're not quite into fall yet, but it'll come soon. We're already in the 40s at night. So,
well, speaking of going into the fall of your life, we thought we would talk about Social Security today.
Look at that transition. I love it. Chris, that's why you get paid the big bucks. That's why you're in charge here. That's why you're the show host and the company CEO right there.
I don't think we've talked about Social Security in a while. And stats show that it can make up, for most people, it makes up maybe 50 to maybe 60, 70% of their retirement income.
Oh,
so
I had heard it's only supposed to be about 40% of your income, but
you would think so.
That's the way it was intended.
I mean,
when it first
because
started,
there used to be more.
It wasn't ever intended for it to be the sole income piece.
Right. Well, people used to have pensions, so
That's
now
true.
if you don't have pensions and you're bringing in $30,000 a year for Social Security, that could, it's probably 50% of your income or more. There's a lot of people don't make $50,000 a year in retirement. So,
sure.
So I think one of the things we want to talk about is, look, since this is such a large part of your retirement income, you want to make sure you do this right? Because it can be, a lot of the mistakes are irreversible, so you can't undo them. So let's get into that. Tony, how many? I think it's 40 quarters you need.
Yes,
40 quarters.
40 quarters for your.
That means you basically have to work 10 full years.
Right, you get 4 credits
per year.
Essentially 4 credits per year. Yeah.
It seems like you should have to.
And it's based on your last 35 years of work when you do turn 65, right?
And I think it's the best 30 quarters or something like that. But personally, I think you should have to work more than 10 years. But anyhow, it would seem like 10 years doesn't seem like a lot for you to because you could work 10 years. You could work 10 years and get 30 years of retirement income, but.
Yeah.
But anyhow, those are the rules right now, and you could take it as early as 62.
Yeah, as early as 62, and obviously those are benefits paid to any retired or a disabled worker.
Disabled, you could be earlier.
Yeah, correct. I mean, you have to qualify for it. That can be good and bad. If you're obviously with disability, they'll assume you're permanently disabled if your condition is severe enough, but if not, you're going to get, it's almost like a game. Yeah. You're going to get denied at least once, probably twice.
It's like Peter and Christ. They deny you 3 times and then you can get in.
Right. Yeah, that's basically it.
So till the rooster crows, you're not in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So early as 60.
But 62.
62, right?
Well,
you could get it early 60 if you're divorced, but there's some issues
There's some
there. So,
extenuating circumstances. Yeah. One thing I've always found interesting, guys, about Social Security and is that they only tax your income up to 147,000 now for 2022. So what that means is, say you make 200,000 per year, your Social Security money that comes out of your Social Security or the OASDI or whatever they call it, it only counts up to 147,000 of your income. So
Correct.
basically, after 147, you don't pay into the system anymore. There's
Correct.
some studies out there, and I just looked at the Social Security website yesterday that they're going to start shortfall. Everybody talks about Social Security is not going to be around by the time I get to retirement. That's not necessarily true, because they'll be partially funded or kind of think of it like a partially funded pension.
Sure.
But they don't. If they were to tax
all of it,
all of it. There's studies out there that say that could keep the whole system solvent for another 75 years.
I mean, there's talk about taking the cap off, so no matter what you make, you pay on all of it.
Yeah.
But, you get people like professional athletes who are like, they're making 20 million and they're going to pay on 20 million. And then when they retire, they're going to get $3,000 a month.
Right.
It would make sense if your benefit goes up, but you get capped out.
Well, I mean, for people, in that situation, maybe you don't need to do all of it, but I'm saying for people that are,
they need to raise the cap.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I don't, it doesn't necessarily mean if you agree with that you think, that you're saying that we need more taxes or anything, but for all this talk of rising taxes and everything else, that would be something I think most people would be okay with, or at least understanding of.
Well,
yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point, Tony. And I think they should just remove the cap and tax everybody all the way up, and then keep Social Security solvent for a long time.
There has to be some end reward for those who are paying. Like, you're making $1 million and now you're paying in $70,000 a year. Actually, between what do I get more later? Like when I retire, do you get more later? So
yeah, but
that would all have to be worked out, right?
But the thinking is if you're like your example of a professional athlete, if they have $20 million, and then they're going to pay in on all of that, but then when they retire, they get the maximum Social Security amount, which let's say it's $3,000 a month, or it'll be about $3,500 a month or something. Then they have enough money to live on beyond that. That's the thing.
But there's got to be some cap, because look, if you're making 20 million a year and you're going to pay in $2 million into the Social Security,
how many if a
and you're going to get 30 grand back?
If a 1%,
but you don't need that. You don't need more than 30 grand.
I don't think you'll uncap it all, but maybe they raise it to 300,000 or something, right?
Sure. I don't know how many people are making 20 million. If a 1% nowadays is 400,000, and
there's a lot of
makes
people.
You a 1%er.
Wait, you mean Chris? Tony, Chris isn't paying you that? I don't understand.
No, but there's a lot of people I'd say are making.
You're worth it.
I mean, you said the cap.
I'm a 0.5%, Tony.
So the cap's at what, 147?
It's 147. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in the United States who are making more than 147.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So I think they can raise it again, even if they wanted. That magic number out there is 400,000. People. So maybe whatever it is they need. They would bring some more money in. I think part of it is. Well, let's talk about the ages. So you can start as early as 62, but everybody has this thing called a PIA. Your primary insurance amount.
Yeah.
So for most people like my age and old and younger, the primary insurance amount is going to be 67. So that's when basically what's called full retirement. So if I retire at 67 or later, I'm getting 100% of my Social Security that's due to me. If I retire early, I get less. If I retire all the way up to 70, I get a little more. But the primary insurance age, then if I still work, I don't get penalized for working. Right. So most people, that's when we do the analysis and we have a really slick report. Social Security maximization report. That's the first question. What's your primary insurance amount? What age are you? What's your spouse's primary insurance amount? So those are things we would need to run the report. But generally at your primary insurance, you're going to get 100% of what you're supposed to. Right. And I
Right.
think if you take it early, like at 62, you only get maybe 75% of what you're going to get. And then you could take it all the way to 70 and you'll get like 132% of what you can get. But I caution people on waiting to 70.
Well, yeah.
Because yes, you get the highest monthly check, but you get less checks.
But for how long?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to do the math. So everybody has a different sweet spot. What you're saying is, a lot of people, I think, what's the stat? And maybe Tony and Marlette, you've heard, but there's a stat like, I mean, it's crazy. Like 70 or 80% of the people take it at 62. It's the majority of people take it at 62. I think it's like 80% or more.
Right.
And then they're getting a lot less. And my grandfather, unfortunately, who I talk about a lot on the show, Grandpa Bob, passed away at 101 this past week. I didn't mean to bring the show down. But he lived a long.
I think he won on a
life.
Social Security bet.
Well, he won the life game. The doctor said it was ideal. His mind was sharp until the end. He didn't suffer. His body just eventually gave out. And so he was camping 2 months ago, and he only spent 2 weeks in hospice. And it was really because he was so tired and couldn't get up or eat. So he passed away in his sleep at 101. It's like the dream, right? So Social Security loses on him. So he could have waited until 70 for sure.
But they win on a lot because I have a friend's brother who just passed away at 60.
Yeah.
And was not married.
Yeah. See that.
So Social Security, nobody gets any of that money. He's paid in for 40 some years, and
that happens a lot too. So, unfortunately, a lot of people pass early. So, I think that the thing is the sweet spot. That's your point, right, Chris? Right, Tony? I mean,
yeah. So the break-even point is just exactly what you guys are alluding to. And this is what we run on our report too.
And it's not linear. It's not like this. There's a dead break-even point by the month.
It's not the exact same year and month for everyone either. Is it?
Right. Because part of it is whether you're married, whether you're not married, that kind of stuff. So Tony, this report we can run for them.
Yeah, so we run the Social Security Maximizer. If you bring in your primary insurance amount, which is what Chris was alluding to before, that shows your benefit, which is kind of a starting point. It's always going to be at full retirement age. We can say, okay, this is what your lifetime benefits would be, depending if you're married, depending if you're single, what the age difference is between you and your spouse. And we can say, okay, this is your best family benefit. Now, it's important, though, I tell people this a lot, to keep that in context where this is not factoring in your pension, your investment accounts, your lifestyle. It's just giving you, this is your best bet to maximize Social Security. So if it makes more sense for you to file at 62 and hold off on drawing out of some of your qualified retirement accounts, that's going to be the trump card over the Social Security report. That's going to kind of buck that data. So we interpret everything, but we don't want to get too focused on that. We want to take your whole picture.
So sometimes we do want it to grow because right now Social Security has been growing at 8% a year. From 66 to 72. So there's not a lot of stuff that's been, or 70, I'm sorry. There's not a lot of things that have been growing that fast. So some people have delayed it, but there's a lot of factors because a lot of people in this country have second or third marriages. So it's a possibility that you can take off a prior spouse. If you're married at least 10 years and you can see whether that benefit's better than your benefit, better than, so there's a lot of factors there. It's too hard to do it on your own. And one of the things that we find, people go to the Social Security office, and this is really strange, but by law, they're not allowed to tell you which the best way. They can tell you if I retire in November of 2022, what's my amount going to be? They'll give you the amount, but they're not going to tell you whether that's the best strategy for you. So don't do this on your own. It's, because it's not just, divide the monthly benefit by so many years. There's so many factors in there, and there's 96 different months that you could take it, right? From 62 to 70. So every month's different. So I think the report's pretty slick. I'm not sure the report, everyone does exactly what the report's going to say, but at least they're informed. They say, well, if I wait here, I could wait one more month, or I wait 2 more months, I get another $300. I'll wait 2 more months. Right. So it's really neat report.
Yeah. I had a lady recently, a couple that, brought in their PIA. We ran them the Social Security report, and it said for them, I believe, to file at 68 to take advantage of make the best use of Social Security.
Right.
Well, we ended up filing for and recommending that she file at 62 because
Health.
the Social Security report only factors in Social Security. The vast majority of everything else she has is in qualified retirement accounts. You
Okay.
want to wait to draw those down to the end. So
Right.
Yeah.
ultimately, it made more sense.
And there's other factors like, factors that take it earlier. Look, I hate my job. No, I don't personally hate my job, but if you hate your job, a lot of times it's health. People have, failing health, and they're like, I can't wait to 66 or 67, or especially at 70, or longevity. Like nobody in my family's lived past 75. Why would I wait till 70? Right. So those are some things. And then on the other side, there's factors that say maybe you should wait. One, you might be able to draw from other sources and let it grow. You might like your job. You might want to work till 70. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So like I said, it's not just a linear number, divided by so many months, and this is the break-even point. And depending on and it's gotten, there used to be more, I want to say games to play. There used to be more opportunities. They kind of got rid of those probably half a dozen years ago.
Yeah, filing strategies. Yeah,
filing
like
strategies,
file
right.
and suspend.
File and suspend.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of those strategies are gone, but there are still. And the other thing is, like, so if you elect, let's say, Mr. Tony Shore, you're not close to that yet, but let's say he picked it at 62, and then somewhere down the road he said, I shouldn't have done that. I'm still working, and they're taking half of my money back, so I'm going to undo it. Well, you only get one chance to undo it in the first year. Once you're past
you have
your
12.
first,
You have 12 months, and you have to pay back what
so
you've received if you want to undo it. So that's not really a viable option for most people.
So if you got 30,000 that year and you wanted to undo it, you have to pay the 30,000 back, and a lot of people don't have $30,000 laying around that they could just pay it back. The game before was, let's say you have significant amount of money that you could basically take it at 62, take all that money until you're 70, basically an interest-free loan, and then pay it back when you're 70 and get the higher benefit. So you would get to use that money for 8 years and pay it back. And the legislation, it's probably 6 years ago or so. I think Obama was in office, so however many years ago that was. They said none of that. You get to change it once. You have 12 months to make a decision. So if you screw it up, you're stuck, right? So that became, it's even more important because before, if you screwed it up, you can undo it potentially if you had the money to pay it back. But now you can't. And usually people don't realize that until after the year's gone, right?
So if you file at 62 because you think, if I'll get more money if I start getting checked sooner, and then you realize, wow, I've got longevity in my family, I don't need this, or I want to go back to work. I mean, we haven't touched on taxes.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that Social Security can be taxed. Is that right?
It's criminal.
Correct.
It's criminal, but
up to what percentage of your total Social Security?
Up to 85%.
Yeah, so
you don't get.
Yeah.
It's not an 85% tax, but up to 80.
Right.
So if you bring in, let's use a round number, you bring in $10,000, up to 8,500 could be taxed, depending on your other income. And it's unfortunate because when they took the money out of your paycheck, you didn't get to write it off. Like you didn't get a deduction for it.
Right.
And now they're going to tax you when they're getting it back. Just seems really unfair. And I think if you were a president and ran a candidate and said, look, we are not going to tax Social Security, you would win.
Yeah.
Right. You get every senior to vote for you. Right. So,
the breakdown is between, if you're single, 32 to 44,000, or I should say if you're married, or 25 to 34 single. That was a lot right there. But basically, taxes of 85% of your benefit. It's
Yeah.
you're not paying 85% in taxes.
And people are pretty
85% of
yeah.
your benefit is taxable.
People are upset with it because they're like, wait a minute, you took this out of my paycheck and now you're giving it back to me and you're going to tax me on it.
Yeah.
I could see, like, with IRAs, I'm taking it out, but I'm not paying the tax today. That's the deal. I'm not going to pay it. My deal is when I take it out, I'll pay the tax later.
What do they call
So-
that? It's above the line, but
Yeah.
but it's actually below the line
Yeah.
deduction.
So Social Security, you took it out of my pay. You didn't give me a deduction.
Right.
It's kind of like the Roth, right?
Right.
So when you get it back, it shouldn't be taxable.
Except the Roth is not taxable in
Right.
most cases.
Right.
So
But I think the consensus is, like, you need someone to crunch the numbers for you because Social Security won't do them, and it's too penal to do it wrong. The report costs us nothing to do. So it's we just need a few numbers, your PIA, your ages, and your wife's PIA, your spouse's PIA, and whether you were married before, or there's even a deceased husband. Like my sister, she's not getting the benefit, but my sister is divorced, but her ex passed away. Unfortunately, it was horrible, but he fell off a roof. He was doing siding literally at my niece's house. Her daughter's house, fell off the roof and fell on his head, and it was bad. But anyhow, so once if you're 60, you can take off a prior spouse. But my sister's still working, and they include all the income that she's making now, so she's not going to be able to get it. So it's kind of, but those are strategies you need to look at that's out there. So divorces, people who have passed away, and then here in Ohio, we have, for a lot of the, like, especially teachers, we have this stupid thing called Windfall Elimination provision. So if you're taking it from a system that's not part of the Social Security system, like the teacher system, in Ohio, I think we're one of 6 states to do this. They nix like 2/3 of your Social Security. So all that comes into play when you're thinking about it. So
isn't that a benefit though? Like, but more beneficial to the system if
to the system, yeah. But a lot of
for teachers, they have something equivalent to Social Security.
Yeah, but a lot of
for federal employees.
Yeah, but a lot of teachers in the summer, they take a job and they pay into the Social Security system, and they're never getting money out of it. So they're like, the government's saying you're double dipping. They're like, no, we paid in. Like, we paid in to the Social Security system. You're telling me we don't get anything out of it. So I don't know why.
That's not right.
Yeah. So I think we're one of 6 states to do it. I don't know why the teachers have such a strong union. I don't know how they haven't got legislation passed by now in Ohio to get rid of it.
But that just apply for those that have summer jobs, though? I mean, I don't want to go too off the rails on this, though. But at the same time, I mean,
no. But anyone
if they have their if for anybody, a federal worker, whatever it may be, if they have their pension that they pay into, not like a union pension or anything, like a state-funded pension, to me, they shouldn't get Social Security.
Yeah, but
if they're paying into it, that's totally different.
That's what they said. Well, if they didn't pay into it, they wouldn't get it. But if a lot of people have 2 jobs, right? So one might be part of the system.
One's not. Job, then I agree. Then you should be able to.
A lot of teachers do that. They work full time, or they work temporary during the summer. When they're off. So
I mean, what I don't know where the government gets off. Says, like, you're going to pay into a system, but you're not getting it.
You're not getting anything out of it.
Then say, okay, we're not going to pay in. We agree. And then there's thoughts about that. Hey, why can't I save this on my own? Similar to an IRA. Look, you forced me to put the 15.3% away, or whatever the number is, and I won't rely on the government for my retirement. But
or the government gives them a tax credit to give them back what they paid in for Social Security.
Yeah, there's talk about privatizing it and all those kind of things. But there's so much. I mean, between you and the employer, you're paying in. Between that and Medicare, you're paying in 15.3%.
Wow.
They're not going to not take that money, right? And then Medicare, we were talking about caps before. Medicare, there's no cap on Medicare,
right?
So if you make $2 million, you're paying more into Medicare,
right?
So it's,
speaking of that, Tony, did you hear yesterday or the day before about the Social Security increase for 2023?
No, I didn't hear about the Social Security.
So they're looking right now. It's
Huge.
going to be finalized around October, probably within the next
Oh,
month.
you mean the cost of living
The COLA.
adjustment?
Yep, the
Yeah,
cost
I
of
heard
living
it's going to be
adjustment.
what, 10?
Oh, it's going to be at least in the 8s, which is the biggest increase in 40
Wow.
years.
Yeah, 40 years. Yeah.
So that won't cause any inflation. I mean, the government's got to come up with another 8%. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're about out of time. So
You mean for the show or for humanity?
yeah,
Or
well,
for
maybe a
our
little both.
economy?
So,
And the way you worded that, it's like the government's got to come up with that much more money.
Yeah,
We're out of
so, I mean,
time.
where's it going to come from? Maybe they'll dip into that Mars pool, the
Yeah.
money they spend on Mars.
Oh yeah, an uninhabitable planet. It's
Yeah.
like, why are we?
I
obsessed-
had someone in from NASA the other day, and I'm like, I love the deal of the space exploration. It's all fine and dandy, but I'm like, you can't
Yeah.
make it rain in California. You're
Yeah.
going to make it rain on Mars? How about working
Yeah.
on California first, where all our food comes from? But
Yeah.
okay, Tony, can you throw up our number there and tell people how to get a hold of us?
Yeah. If you're listening or watching, obviously click subscribe and comment to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. You can also give us a call or visit us online to schedule a consultation. Bring in your primary insurance amount and your other financial statements. We can put a whole plan together for you.
And the phone number for the listeners is 440-886-3550 or brooksidetax.com. Okay, Mr. Short, take us home.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. And this has been the road to retirement, right? With our amazing hosts, Tony Marlette Jr. and Chris Anselmo.
All right, see you next week. Hey,
Thank you,
Tony, I'm going to
gentlemen.
be up in your neck of the woods next week, so maybe we'll do.
That's right.
One.
We're going to see each other next week. That'll be fun.
Okay. All right. See you guys.
See ya.